Just got pulled over by a cop, and pretty sure they're gonna take my license away. You twin turbo anything, and the city hates you. I didn't even speed. I did not do anything wrong. I didn't do nothing, man. But I got pulled over by a cop, and I'm like, okay, this one's gonna be a story for the boys, so I might as well just tell them how you transmute your own luck. I said, okay, I'm due for them taking my car away. I have a lot of tickets lined up, and I know the next one's going to be bad. And he wanted a bolted on license plate, and I was going 40 and a 50 by the river, and he decided to follow me because he sees the fake plate in front, and believe it or not, he was one of those guys on my wavelength of thought. He was very positive man, Chinese officer, really good at his job and just beaming with life energy. And I really wanted to tell him, but I didn't want to raise any more suspicion because my foot, next to my foot was my phone. I didn't want him to see that, right? Not that I'm on my phone with a machine out in public, out to kill people. I'm by the river where no one's there, right? It's a rocky road. It's a fucking dust road. You know. And he decided to follow me, and this happened 5 minutes ago. And he pulled me over. And he said, "Why that plate? You've been stopped for this many times, man." In good energy. And I'm used to police situations that, in the past, it would always be about the money, but then later it became more about the violation of like, fuck, man, I didn't, I'm having a perfect couple of years. What's going on, bro? Or a couple of months since the last one, if we want to look at the police stops. And so I tell him, hey man, I did not know I could not do that. The whole thing, the Dave Chappelle thing. And he says, no, you can't have that plate like that. I'm gonna write you up a ticket, and I'm not gonna give you a ticket for the other stuff, right? So he actually let me go. He's just making me pay a really hefty ticket, which is fine. And this is the one situation where I'm the most unfree because I have so many in my past, just in my past experiences with police officers. I've been a black guy in this incarnation, so I've had so many bad situations with police officers. So immediately I become unfree and restricted, and ruins my whole week, if not my day. But I decided to transmute today, and I'm all for transmuting pain and anger, except for things that are totally out of my reach. So for me, a trauma is getting pulled over by the police, even though it's a sunny day, nothing really bad happened. It's just a trauma from my past. It's like a deep wounded trauma. Like it's a deep wounding trauma that reappears. And today I felt that, hey, this is the day you get over this one as well, because you leave the big ones till later. I always tell people you leave the big ones till later. You start with the traumas you can work on. That's what being an adult really is. A lot of people think being an adult is like paying your bills and stuff. Bro, there's billionaires who kill themselves. Like you got to work on your traumas, right? And some people say, "Oh, that's crazy." Like as the police officer is doing his computer work, you're entering a deep state of meditation. And it's not like, a lot of people close their eyes when they're in a bad situation, or if you confront someone that they blink a lot, they don't want to be in that position. This is different. This is staring at the police officer in your rearview mirror with the intensity of 1,000 suns, letting him do his computer work that takes forever, closing your eyes slowly, but not to escape him. You're taking him with you in the meditation session. And you're holding that position and seeing every possibility. Okay, maybe I have to go to the Bahamas right now because I don't have a car. He's going to take my car away from me. And I pretty much pull my whole situation into my heart, and I meditate. And I say, whatever it is, I want whatever is happening. So if he takes my license away, I want that. I'm not going to run to the Bahamas and stuff, because you get that thought, should I go to Bahamas? But that's a running thought. No, I want to live without a car. How about that? And so I transmute all of this, and he smiles at me immediately, and I knew this would happen. The matrix changes when you transmute on the spot because it hurts so much to do it. And he came up to me and just gave me a really expensive ticket. And I give him that look like, wow, you're not, he's kind of bending the rules for me. This should have been a lot bigger of a situation. And I said, should I just go home then? As in, I can't drive this with that kind of a license plate. Right? It's got to be bolted on. He said, "Man, I don't know. You don't have to go home." And he had that freedom look in his eye, where it's like, just pay the ticket and you're free. Go on about your day. And man, that was the first time I chose to, because with police, I don't fuck around. I don't experiment. But I said, no, I'm at the point in my life where I do want to run the experiment. If you transmute, you live your life, you go through horrible moments, they make you unconscious, unfree, and panicky and scared, and you go, I don't want to listen to Zherka right now. Totally get it, right? Some people are more conscious when they're doing their artwork. Some people are more conscious playing basketball. Some people are more conscious when they're doing things, whatever. But the point is, you do it through trauma, through the hardship. That is the point. That's where you get the most bang out of your life, where you say, oh, I've got a lot to work on. Like, your parents, your family, your friends, everyone's wrong about how to live on earth. You want to live on earth as free as possible. It means you got to untie some of these knots. Look at a human being. Don't think of anyone you love. Just look at the average Joe on the street that likes to party, drink beers, fuck bitches, and he's just always chatting out. He randomly one day gets diagnosed with cancer, and what happens to him? He freezes. This happens to many people. They get diagnosed, and immediately everything they value, it disappears from their line of consciousness. They're done with that. Everything they want to do on earth, they don't want to do anymore. And now all they can think about is their health. So I don't preach balance to sound like a balance kind of guy. I'm not trying to be the dad of the group and help people out like that. I'm telling you that you can get cancer if you hold on to many of these burdens, right? Or best case scenario, you live a very fat, uncomfortable, uncozy, irritated in your own body, in your own temple kind of way. That's a horrible way to live. That's a dying way to live. But don't get it twisted that if your mind is strong and it's one-sided, you just go mental, right? You go more upwards, not mental like crazy, but let's say you focus on just thinking, you can be like, Donald Trump has a very strong mind, but it's really his will, because his thinking is not all there. Have you noticed, not to be rude, but Donald Trump doesn't like to think. And usually you'll meet a lot of people who, if you ever meet a really good sleazy salesman, their will forces are extremely activated, right? That's how you make money, a serious amount of money. You have to be willing to go out there and make the money. And thinkers don't actually get paid, which is a very scary topic to mention. Is like, did you know the better you are at thinking, the more you are spinning webs and, thought loops and processes and check the data, and you never pull the trigger, right? Like no being, it's all just lopsided. And then you have Donald Trump, who doesn't think and makes billions of mistakes, but billions of dollars with his mistakes, right? We all make billions of mistakes, but do we get paid for it? Not like him, right? So anytime someone comes to me, they're like, "Dude, something's wrong with me," I go, let's just ask. This is the best way to look at any problem you have in life, anything, right? And usually I don't like one size fits all answer, but it's not really one of those. You have an issue in your life. It's not gut health. It's not what these fucking Twitter accounts talk about. You split your body up into your ego head system, your concentrated thinking system. Is it a thinking problem? Is your thinking dead? Right? And remember, we don't want your thinking to go online with caffeine. We want it to go online, and then you can add caffeine and let the, blood vessels dilate. Right? And I'm telling you guys right now, you should be feeling everything that you put into your body. 1 cup of coffee should not be drank unconsciously. You should feel the temperature rise. Your pupils dilate, blood vessels get going, and little by little you say, that's what 1 cup of coffee feels like. And for thousands of years, I know I get a lot of Christians who hate me when I say this. You don't pray over the food, thank you, God. That doesn't do anything. You look at the wrapper, open it up for the granola bar, You say thank you to the Lord, but you look at what you're eating. You look at the ingredients putting in your body. The more consciousness you add. When you drink a tomato soup, you look at the texture of the soup. You look at the redness, right? You push consciousness into what you're fucking looking at. That is prayer. It's not thank you, God, you idiot, right? Because if it was thank you, God, it wouldn't. How the fuck would that give you self-knowledge? Now, when you're away from electronics and drinking that tomato, basil soup, whatever, immediately, without technology and with that much consciousness put into that meal, you know what it does to you. You know, a lot of people say, whoa, I feel really strong with the tomato paste, tomato soup, whatever. Right? And a lot of people think you can mix things that you can't mix it out. If you have like a piece of bread and tomato tomato soup and a fucking piece of chicken and this and that, that's not what you do. You eat them one at a time to see how your soul transforms this material, right? And you don't just do this with food, you do this with reading material as well. When you're digesting a book, let's say, right? The more, let's say you digest 10% of a really strong book, now you're a millionaire, right? Because you write your own book and it's probably a more simple version of that, which means it reaches more people. It's more stupefied, it's more for retards, it's stupefied, right? So your problem's either going to be in your, is it a thinking problem? Is it a rhythmic heart problem? Maybe relationship, whatever? Or is it the gut? It's a tripart look at your life. Every day of your life, you say, am I having problems upward, middle, or down to the metabolic hells of my life? And if you do this every single day, you will notice, oh, wow, I have serious issues with one of these three parts. Everyone has, like, for example, most of you guys say, like, where is your I? Nobody can say I for you. Can someone say I for Zherka? I am Zherka. They cannot. They would be lying. They wouldn't be able to do it, right? This ich, this ish, this ich, this I am. Now, when I say I am Zherka, or you say I am Tyson, or I am Josie, I am 420, or whatever, each one of these people feel their I in a different spot. Some people feel it in between their eyes, some people right from their heart when they say it, and other people even lower from their gut, right? These are more athletic types of people, or a lot more. Usually we consider them more stupid types of people. But I don't call them stupid because they're action-oriented people, which means we can fucking ball, man, right? The world's about action. I encourage people to start their day off empty, right? You start out without anything, no food, nothing digesting, nothing to tinker you, right? And you just wait and observe, right? And this is a spiritual patience. This is not waiting for something to happen. This is the map, and your reality changes when you observe yourself. And you ask yourself, is it the problem with the clouds and the thinking? Is it a problem with your breathing, the middle system, or is it a problem with your gut? And for a lot of human beings, it is the gut. If you ask a human being, hey, are you sleepy when you eat something? They say, yes, that's normal. That's not normal. What if I'm 60 years old? That's not normal. What if I'm 70? You think it's normal because the people in your life do it, but it's not normal. You know those fucking retarded hoes who always say my body is a temple? What they mean by temple is this is the tool you're going to use to lift yourself up out of matter and transform everything with you. We're going to bring it upwards. This is your temple that is a spiritual machine to go upwards. They're actually correct about that, even though I've noticed a lot of these women channels obsess over gut health. And gut health is so easy. You just get someone to cut back on the food, let them go empty and see which foods, you know, register well with their bodies. And I saw this fucking idiot doctor on my feed, and he said, oh, grapes are just sugar balls of sugar. You might as well just eat candy. And it's like, you are correct. right? For appearance, macros, all that, right? You are correct. Macronutrients, okay, yeah, 100 grams of this is the same as 100. Okay, you are correct. But there's an etheric, meaning life building component to the fruit that's mental in your memory body. And, humans, doctors nowadays love to talk about the material. Like, a grape has a lot of sugar. It's like, dude, we're eating a grape for the sun forces it has in it. That's why there's a sense of well-being with eating fruit. And there's not, what do you get out of some sour candies? I love sour candies. But what do you gain out of that? Right? What if you have to do a paper? What if you have to study? What are you going to choose? And a lot of people don't realize this. Like, obviously, the sour candies, you're going to want that more than fruits most of the time. No, you have to rewire your brain and say, I want a nectarine for my thinking capacity. I want grapes for my thinking, right? Because you don't know how desperate humans get to have a 10% more clear day. And I'm telling you, man, if you don't have mental clarity, your days suck. Have you ever had a good day doing nothing fucking fun? And you're like, this is the best day ever, and nothing fun happened. That's mental clarity, you fucking idiot. So when you listen to this doctor say, well, you could eat gummy worms, it's the same thing as eating grapes. It's like, dude, there's a life building quality. Did you know that plants, not when you pull them by the root, but when you pull out a berry from its whatever, the bush, right? Did you know that the plant, which is in its sleeping, the plant kingdom is asleep. That's why they look asleep. When you look at a tree, you're like, oh wow, they're in deep blissful sleep and spiritual sleep. Right, 2 stages below your level of consciousness. Right, they're not animals; they're plants. Right, they have etheric bodies and physical bodies. Right, so they have a dense chemical sheath and the thing that makes those chemicals rise, a life body. And they're asleep. You look how cute a tree is. It's in blissful sleep, and it's giving you everything it needs from its what it generates. And when you pull a berry out of the bush, it gets the same sensation as a cow does when its infants, a baby cow, suckles on its nipple. It enjoys the sensation of aiding its baby cow, right? The same with the bushes. If you ever, and this is completely wrong if you pull it out by the roots, you should never be killing wildlife, right? Let them grow as many berries for us as they can. And another thing is the trees around you, you grew them. Just because you didn't plant them with your hands doesn't mean you didn't grow them. The world would not look like this if humans didn't exist. And I'm not saying like, oh, because of some fucking you watered a plant or this stupid dense material science stupid shit. I'm saying your thought forms when you go to bed. Everything you pour back, right? We live the day forward, go to bed backwards, right? And pour everything we've done throughout our day. And this is why in a lot of stronger thought form countries like Switzerland, you have beautiful giant trees and amazing wildlife. And places where there's shittier thought forms like Africa, you have very, I'm not going to say ugly because it's wild and I love anything wild. I think to me, there's nothing more beautiful because, first of all, don't confuse. Anytime you hear the word spiritual, it's not what you've been taught. It's not what Christians and Muslims and Jews, and it's none of that. Whatever they've said, they're all wrong. Spiritual means nature. It's the coin flip of nature. It's the other side of nature, but it's really one coin, right? So if you're ever enjoying yourself in nature, not talking in a blissful state, that is you elevating your position on earth, right? Through thinking. And a lot of people don't realize that because, most of us look at our phones when we go to picnics and barbecues and we can't, you can't unwind unless you have a few beers and stuff like that. But even these guys who have beers and stuff, eventually which beers would mean sun forces, right? Or the wines and the whatever. And they're trying to force it, through their tripart soul, which, through the gut and transform this beer and try and have that blissful moment. And for for some reason, it's a beautiful thing that alcohol is a social lubricant, right? Like I always say, alcohol is put on earth so you talk to that pretty girl and she's your girlfriend and whatever. But it should never be involved in your life besides meeting someone. You don't go on a second date with her and bring out alcohol. That's retarded. That's like how you guys smash for 2 weeks and then never see each other again, right? No, you do healthy stuff and you go back to being human. So I'm not against alcohol as like a cheat code, because when humans are in groups, when you're not alone, believe it or not, your sense of who you are is going immediately back to sleep. So anytime you talk to another human being, you go back to sleep, right? You're in waking sleep all the time, even when you're alone, unless you're a more philosophical type that fights it and has strengthened it over many years. But yeah, anytime you're in a group setting, or even meet up with two friends, right? You are going back into sleep. Even if they walk by you on the street, you'll sleep for, you'll probably be in one lower layer of sleep, unconscious, and then, they walk by you and you go even deeper. This is what it is to mix up universe. Every human has their own universe. We mix them up in public. Did you know that you can influence people without saying anything just for what's in your auric field? You can walk by someone and they get a flash courageous thought because they're like, whoa, Zherka walked by. That guy's a fucking retard. He'll jump in a fire. That guy's well, I won't jump in a fire. I'm not retarded. But if you call me a pussy, I'll jump in the fire to die in the worst way possible just to prove to myself I'm not a pussy. It's like, right? I think that's the best way to live life is like, if you can, make your bed with how you would die. Like would you die proving to yourself that you're smart, rich, funny? No, those are fucking useless. But if you die proving to the world that you're courageous, or maybe the world's not watching it, maybe there's just a cat on the road watching you, bro, one day that cat, thousands of years from now, will evolve enough to talk to you, and it'll say meow meow, you are brave, meow meow. And you'll be like, that's the craziest pussy dude, chill the fuck out with that. But yeah, I'm not trying to take it to cosmic thoughts. I'm just, sticking with gut health. It's either your gut, your heart, or your mind, right? Your brain. And your brain's really reflecting who you are. So remember, you struck the chord, the word, you used the power of God to create yourself before you even incarnated, right? That vibration, you struck it, and now, it's been 25 years and the vibration's changing and you're getting older and blah, blah, blah. But this is exactly what you wanted, with all the billions of surprises and all of the meaning that you don't see until, for a lot of you guys, it's much older. Well, for 99% of you, it's never, because you don't start when I tell you to start, 21 plus. And I'm telling you guys right now that it's like, this interactivity of what's wrong with me, even when there's nothing wrong with me, is what makes you special. It's not an egotistical thing. It's not self-serving. It's none of that shit. Even if you're in a blissful mood, you should say to yourself, huh, how did I get here? Huh, does mine last longer than Zherka's? Because he can stretch it for a couple of years and you can do a couple of minutes. And I'm getting freak ass emails from people saying, dude, there's people telling me I'm never in a blissful state. I'm like, what do you mean? Like 24 hours? You wake up 12 hours a day, you're awake. You don't have a blissful state for 2 minutes of the day. And a lot of people have told me, well, I don't want it. I don't care for it. But no, I don't have that. I'm like, I'm pretty sure you're lying to me. You must be lying to me. There's no fucking way. Even if you look at sense-based stuff or even taste or eating something, or there's no part of your day that you go, oh, yeah, this is awesome. And, that's showing me that the most people who get into, it's not well-being, man. It's by the time you understand your machine, for the average man, look into these studies, okay? By the time you understand your machine, you're going to be great and 70 years old. That's a horrible situation to be in, you know? And a lot of you guys are going to have parents, family, friends, people around you that are successful, but they don't have that deep laugh and sense of well being that is clearly crafted. You know, like when you look at a tiger, its sense of well being until it gets triggered with, hunger and then hunt, right? Which a tiger doesn't experience, I am hunting, it just experiences hunt, right? But if you look into nature, even in these ferocious animals, these are spiritual beings. Just stare at a tiger and you'll be like, whoa, I make a shit ton of money, but I am never in my state of being, right? Wouldn't that be interesting if a tiger could get billions of fucking animals in the jungle, but it's always insecure? You'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with that tiger? Right? We'd all say, why is it moving like that? Why is it erratic? Why is it? It cannot sit still. And it wouldn't even be a fucking tiger. It wouldn't even be a tiger. You'd be like, no, I think this tiger has something fucked up with it. So these niggas don't realize that it's like we don't love tigers for the reasons we say we love them. Our first opinion of a tiger is, if you see one in nature, your first opinion is there is no opinion. It's actually a deep rooted holy terror. When I say holy terror, I mean God crafted a perfect killing machine, or God gave the tiger, which every tiger on earth is actually a group soul, right? But they all adhere to this perfect tiger in the garden, in the spiritual garden. And it's a killing machine when it's in matter, and it's evolved to be like this thing is the size of a fucking grizzly bear, right? And a lot of people be like, no, it actually weighs less. And it's like, bro, it's faster and it can fly up trees. Imagine something as big as a 400-pound organic tank flying up a tree with hands bigger than American dinner plates, paws that big with giant knives coming out of them. And you're not even worried about the claws because the head is so evolved and so spiritually massive and large and designed to only see your jugular. It doesn't even see any other part of you when it locks on to hunt. And it's a spirit instinct means spiritual. The instinct of hunt is right there. We shouldn't involve karmic nature for animals, but if you're getting eaten by a tiger and you're dying a gruesome death, extremely high chances it's not an accident or you being careless or any of that. It's an extremely high chance that you've done some fucked up shit to animals. And now, the top of the animal kingdom is it's gonna show you your way out. And obviously, on the other side, it'll be fine. But on this side, you're gonna experience the most gruesome death because a lot of people don't realize that the terror is not from you dying. The terror is from feeling every cell in that tiger's body is saying the same thing to end and kill you. And here's the most interesting part about a creature this large and powerful. Did you know sometimes they don't want to eat you? Sometimes all of that 500-pound organic tank flying through the jungle at top speeds to kill you, all of that is just to murder you, which is so interesting. You see this with lions too. Sometimes they don't eat the animal, they just kill it. As in, I am a more purified being than this human, right? Because usually they respect humans, they leave them alone. But you fuck with them, they fuck with you back, right? You see that documentary of that tiger who just killed like 1,000 fucking Indian niggas. And by the way, Indians in America, they make money and stuff like that. They look intelligent, but dude, the ones back home, it's like, what the fuck are they doing? How the fuck did one tiger kill 1,000 Indians? It's like, dude, they just go out for a walk in the jungle. They're actually retarded. If I lived in India, I'd be like, oh, there's a tiger that killed 1,000 people in this forest. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go skipping there and put my headphones on. What? Dude, I'm cautious of bears and cougars when I go out. I'm always ready for war. And it's so interesting that when it sinks its teeth into you, you feel all of its being transfer into you, and all you feel is the compression of you must leave reality because I don't want you here. And a lot of people think, oh, there's God. Bro, when a tiger bites into your flesh, where is God? Where is God? How bad were those 1,000 Indians? Because tigers don't usually do this. How bad were they that 1,000 fucking Indians in that documentary got killed by one tiger? It was like this rogue tiger that just. First of all, did you know even if a tiger kills a human, it doesn't have the urge to kill more humans? Usually, it's like a one off. But bro, that same one tiger killed 1,000 fucking niggas. Yo, that thing loves the taste of humans. And then they found out didn't even eat some of the humans, just killed them. Like it's on some vengeance shit, right? Which I can't think of anything more terrifying because there's something so horrifying about the most beautiful organism in nature murdering you but doesn't eat you. There's no organism on earth more beautiful than a Siberian or a Bengal Indian tiger. There's nothing in the universe right now, 2026, the greatest year that's ever happened in reality, right? Because we chase God in the moment. So the moment is always the greatest time to be in, right? Which is sad, you know. RIP to the billions on earth that are not in the moment right now. Like, moment of silence for them. Because you know who is in the moment? Man, watch a tiger when it's chilling. Is there anything more interesting than when a tiger is just relaxing? Because it's not seeing you, it's seeing the theory, the astral, it's seeing other dimensions of existence you are not seeing. And it's way more animated, but it's it doesn't give a fuck about any of that stuff. So it actually looks like it's just chilling there alone, but it's surrounded by all sorts of spiritual beings are obsessed, all sorts of evil, good, bad, middle. There's all this left, right, whatever. There's all of everything in that fucking jungle is obsessed with the tiger, right? And it's just so mind blowing when you look at holy shit, the spiritual laws of nature designed an animal that's still evolving for thousands of years. And the most terrifying part of being killed by this tiger is actually that it's something beautiful killing you, right? You see a tiger chilling and you're like, I could never in a billion years have come up with a more beautiful animal on paper. You know, humans love to pretend they're creative. I mean, Star Wars and Jar Jar Binks. And it's like, bro, you on paper could never design anything as beautiful as what's out in nature. It will not even a percentage. Actually, did you know everything humans make that is fucking jaw dropping beautiful is by copying God's nature? For example, like look at a fighter jet. The more bird like they look, the faster they go. Have you noticed that? Look at the blackbirds, look at the SR 71 or whatever, 72, or you look at the stealth bombers, they turn into night hawks before they become supersonic jets that take over the whole map. And the more powerful a jet is in your arsenal, the more it's going to look like the animal kingdom. We copy the design of these birds to go faster, and we're gonna pay for damaging the skies with all that sound and shit. Like that's karmic too. So in the future, we're gonna pay for all that. There has to be a balance with everything. Da Vinci doesn't touch, and he's inspired by the Lord, but he doesn't touch what's already out there. When you look at what nature, what beauty is in anything, it always comes from back, neck, broadness, and length. That's something a tiger, a cheetah, a lion, a human, a beautiful woman, right? That's something beauty means neck muscles, back muscles, broadness, and bones, length. That's you have that in everything, right? And it doesn't have to be giant size. It just has to be proportional, right? You have that in an eagle too, like the curves, the thinking system of the eagle. It's pure thinking in animal form. The tiger is pure will forces, ferocious. The lion is pure courage, outward in nature, right? The cow is just digestive forces. That's why you feel like a cow when you eat shit. You just be lazy all day. And it's like, dude, these things came out of the spiritual man. They were inside of us. That's why we can tap into them again. I'm really against weed, but I love when I see one of these things pull up on my feed where the stoner says, "What is a fan, bro? What is a bed? What is a pillow? What is a window?" You know when a stoner starts talking like that, and he's really asking for the inner nature of things, like the thing in itself philosophically, and he gets very Kantian and he doesn't know. It's like that's exactly how your mind is supposed to go. You're supposed to look at a tiger and say, "What the fuck is that?" And the craziest thing about reality is the more energy you put into that, the more mysterious the world becomes, which, your first instinct is to run from that. You're like, whoa, that's terrifying. But actually, that's the most liberating feeling ever is like, the more mysterious the world becomes, the more you're going to smile. Even though in the beginning it feels like terrifying, right? I have a lot of 21-year-olds that go, "Oh, I kind of just want like the Catholic Church to explain it all to me and stuff." And it's like, bro, there is no human on earth that's going to explain to you what happens when you look at a tiger and you're saying to yourself, "What the fuck is that?" And why I'm choosing tiger is I can't imagine a more interesting topic, really. Like, if somehow we don't all die and we can all be in a room with a giant, evil, murderous tiger, but it doesn't attack us. For 24 hours, it's just, walking around aggressive, but it just doesn't attack us. And we're all convinced we're not going to get murdered by this thing. And we're all in that room. Do you think anyone would be on their phone? I actually do think some people, after a couple hours, some people would be like, you know and it's a hard question to answer because I'm saying an aggressive tiger, so it's showing nature, right? Not just a regular tiger, a tiger that's under the instinct of kill, hunt, that tiger. So the ears go back, the eyes become, it becomes terrifying in a beautiful way. I can't explain to you, like, how can something beautiful horrify you as well? Could a really good looking murderer be beautiful as he's murdering someone? Maybe Achilles, I guess. Like, what? No, I don't. Could we see like a Ted Bundy? You see him hack up someone with a knife, and you're like, oh, that's fucking gruesome, right? Because you think of yourself and all that, and humans are like that. But you think of a tiger's ears go back, the teeth come out, it blades out, the whole face completely morphs, bro. When it turns into kill mode, it doesn't look like the same thing, but it's a tiger. It's so, even behind a phone, scrolling on your feed, you look at it when it's angry and hissing from your phone. I don't care how stupid and unconscious someone is. You stare at that and you feel nature and you go, holy shit, man doesn't know anything. Man thinks they're going to, oh, man, we're going to do this. We're going to do it. Nigga, you ain't going to do shit to that tiger. A lot of people say, oh, I would just shoot it with a gun. You know what happens if you shoot a tiger with a gun? The whole world hates you and tries to murder you. It is not safe for a human to murder something going extinct. You brag about it. The whole online world every comment will say you should be dead. Every time I open these animal comments, algorithm comments, every comment is that person feeding the tiger should be locked up and dead. And one day the tiger's going to escape. And I'm like, why are you wishing on that? Because your wishing is adding to the energy of one day the tiger might actually leave. You don't realize your thought forms are. So when I see those comments, I'm like, bro, why are you wishing for the little Indian guy to get fucking, yeah, he trapped the tiger, but you shouldn't be wishing on his fucking downfall, right? And to me, high level calculation through instinct, meaning, packed thought forms, instant download of like 1,000 years of fucking just go, right? Doesn't have to fucking sit there and wonder and look like a fucking faggot ass ostrich, right? I shouldn't say that because those things are fucking chase people down. I'm terrified of something, at my eye level chasing me down. And could you imagine that, right? You think you're tough. Imagine an ostrich walked in your room right now and just looked at you. You'd be like, what the fuck? It's like snake-like, its neck and shit. But yeah, when you think of nature and the designs of nature, and then you go back into the mirror and you look at your inner self and you go, holy shit, I am beautiful. Like there's look how many interweaving patterns of nature made me. And you can't even fucking do what you're trying to do on earth. Like, come on, man. Some of you guys are so fucking stupid. If you can honor a tiger that much, you can honor yourself and say, hey, you're a kingdom above the tiger. So I'm trying to tell you guys that it's either your animal nature, your gut system, your problems coming from there. Maybe you ate something, or maybe you ate something a long time ago and it transformed into fat. Maybe you became a fat ass. Or maybe it's your rhythmic heart system, lion forces, or maybe your ego thinking system. But it's one of those three. And we always start up from the top because we're from the spirit. So we start with thinking first. You guys have to start seeing the world very animalistically, very vegetatively. Like you have to start seeing nature, not spirit. Because when you start with nature, you understand spirit.
I don't really understand the incarnation stuff, but do you think that do you think before people had to be incarnated, find one person for life, but now people almost are sent to you to teach you lessons, and then you just because you just never speak again?
No, no,
No,
it's
okay.
I don't like to talk about this because I don't want to mislead someone into being a cuck, but that one person that it doesn't work out with them, eventually in other lifetimes it does work with them. So it's still building. It just doesn't. So that love you have with them has to be built in a different way. For example, if two people's love is so dependent on each other that they can starve to death, die, never work, be stupid, scattered, filled with demons, that's called hell. And so you're supposed to evolve alone until you can stand upright without your partner, which takes many lifetimes for a lot of the people you see in society. And when you can stand upright without your partner, that's actually when the initial attraction begins to magnify in both partners and they go back to each other. And there are partners that for thousands of years will stay together. These loyalty partners are the most spiritually charged, most powerful incarnations on earth, and they sacrifice the most for the world. And then there are people who have multiple partners in different incarnations, stuff like that. And all these threads of karma are weaved into something beautiful at the end of it. But you have to really see the big picture of that marriage you want with that certain somebody is 100% going to happen, just not in this life. So that's why people settle for different partners that can express different things that evolve them closer to that. And a lot of people are like, well, what is this cock shit? It's more like in 500 years, if you're very evolved, you'll be born again in 500 years. All right, it won't be right away. It'll be 500 years if you have that kind of effort in you. And what will happen is you will be evolved to the point where your Buddhic nature, meaning, that loving feeling you have around your girlfriend or your wife, that feeling will start to be generated independently. And just ask anyone high on drugs who's feeling their heart chakra start to spin open, um, they don't want anything, right? You talk to them about their ex-girlfriend who shattered their life, they go, no, she was going through it. I feel for her and I love her. You talk to anyone who's had an MDMA experience, and in the peak of the experience, when they're in their Buddhic nature and they're uh, blooming for the universe, right? They're completely open. They always say, I forgive that person. And it's a genuine thing where they move on with their life. And it's a beautiful thing. Now, if you can have that all day, like in the future, and you train that, then you don't care if your wife's cheating ever. You don't care. You're sitting in a park doing that. You're Zherka now. But now check this out. Because you don't care at all that your wife's cheating and you forgive her regardless, you become the most attractive person in the universe to her, and she never cheats on you. And this is why the spiritual couples will always have the longest relationships. This is why spiritual nations like Indians have the strongest marriages today, because it's not just family, it's that they don't go towards the Western intellectualism, they go towards um right, just spirituality. Like they
Are
built
you
up their,
sure?
well, they say Indians have the most loyal marriages. What is that, because they beat them with a
Uh,
stick?
no, it's because the law. Sorry, I'm going to ruin this for you. Do you want me to tell you or no?
No, go ahead, go ahead.
It's because the laws there, they're not divorced on paper because the dowry system, like the wife can drag the entire family to court. So it goes on for a lot longer.
Well, then
But there's,
why are they so loyal in Western nations to each other?
it's not like my dad hired a bunch.
What do you mean?
What do you
Why are
mean?
they so loyal to each other in America?
I don't really, I wouldn't say they are.
Because their makeup, their genetic chemical makeup
Yeah, but
is more clairvoyant.
I wouldn't say they are, Zerka. I mean, my dad
That's
hired a
not an
bunch of,
argument. That's not an argument.
well, I can just go off of my personal experience, and my dad hired a bunch of them. So like he had a whole office in India. I went to India, and the women are pretty feminist there too.
I'll even go further, Pearl.
Hmm.
I love white people, but I've never met a white person from my homies.
Hmm.
Let's say 100 white homies I've met. They always tell me privately, because they're like, you do this kind of stuff. I want to talk to you and all that. They always tell me privately that their parents forsaken them. And I'm like, how did your parents forsake you? And they always say they divorced when I was in the tender age of 8, and I secretly never forgave them for it. Now I take myself in my memories to when I was 8 years old. I'm telling you right now, people go through shit. But if there's ever one thing you can tell your parents fuck you for, is that divorce, because it has a tremendous effect. Did you know that divorce has a worse effect on the children than if the children are refugees in war? I swear to God, it's the same level of trauma on paper. So the idea that we let these white parents just everyone divorce and the kids grow up messed up, hating their parents, they won't admit it. 73% of men wanted to forgive their dad. When they took their first MA experience with therapy, they're like, it was something about my dad, and it's always linked to divorce. And I'm like, bro, if there's one thing immigrants destroy white people on, is the love principle within romance. Like, because they don't operate off romance like Hollywood people. They legit stay with each other because they're like, we're gonna die together. That is a
Yeah.
good thing. That is a strong thing. And white people have this thing where divorce is in the recipe. It's baked in the cake of marriage, which is horrifying for children.
Well,
And if you look at the studies, being born in Gaza is the same level of trauma as your parents getting a divorce. It's the same level. How is that even possible? That's why I hate modern society, because the people we're supposed to look up to, the white people, they're getting away with horrors unimaginable
right, because
worldwide.
it's want to and have to.
Did your parents get a divorce, bro?
No.
Okay, yeah. So you wouldn't get it. My parents didn't get a divorce either, so I wouldn't get it. But man, you talk to anyone whose parents had that effect on them. It's a 70-year process of forgiving. 70 years to forgive one person or two people is insanity. And usually it's one parent more than the other that you have to forgive. And we just live in a world where our champions, the whites, are doing like the most internal horrors to themselves. And then we have a generation of hoes, and we're like looking at them like, where did this come from? And it's like, dude, just follow Zherka's advice, because it's not Zherka's advice. It's Dr. Master Steiner's advice. This is the doctor you should follow, because that's when people have divine patience, and they gradually pour what they can pour day to day and make their world better. But man, we live in a world where even if you delete all the immigrants on earth, it's just divorce, a nightmare divorce situation. And it's like, dude, what did these kids even do for that? But it's linked to their
Well, it's
past
because
lives.
women only stay with men when they have to, not when they want to.
The solution is not to rile people up more. I really thought I would spawn a wave of red pill men who are aggressive on the microphone. They release the energies in motion and they do everything correct. And then they laugh and party with the girls. I thought I would spawn that. Bro, my wave spawned the biggest bunch of guys just yelling at women. For the woman doesn't even understand why she's being yelled at. I have no idea. I had no idea that my effect on the world isn't actually a good approach because it's just men yelling at women. And if you could see that she's not understanding what you're saying, you'd say you're wasting your time. You'd stop. But bro, the red pill is the source of the most universal truth and entertainment YouTube history has ever seen, but it also spawned the most cringe wave of what are they called? Men's rights activists, and none of them are happy. They're not happy in their adventure life, their romantic life, not even in the parts of the romantic life that's building, like their single time where they're working on themselves, which is the most beautiful time, right? They're not happy in any areas of their life. Three chambers of the life: head, heart, and hands, right? Thinking, feeling, and willing. And bro, it blew me away. It blew me away that I'm like, wow, Zherka really is not the solution because I don't. Zherka doesn't spawn more Zherkas. Nick Fuentes does not spawn more Nick Fuenteses. Pearl does not spawn more Pearls. Humans don't spawn more. That's a rare thing. It's a very rare thing. Eminem spawned a billion copycats that are cringe. Isn't that weird? So it's like the solution is not a louder voice. It really isn't. We've tried this for years, and men are just yelling at hoes, and hoes are like they're trying to figure out a problem they had. Because if you notice, hoes never grew up with, they always grew up with a single parent. So it's like they're trying to solve that trauma, and everyone's just yelling at them all the time. No shit, they're in fight or flight all the time. And I really thought my approach would make men yell at women, act like men, and then love them. But it just made men yell at women all day until the women just, I don't know what happened. It's like everyone is doing everything wrong. And I'm kind of embarrassed where things have gone in reality. It's like there's not one person I can point my here's why I feel embarrassed. I spawned Sneeko. That's got to be the most humiliating feeling a man can go
What is
through.
it with you and Sneeko? Sorry. Wait, I just
Huh?
like, why are you
Did you
I
see
don't
when he
under
was getting, did you see Pearl when he was getting attacked recently and he was getting insulted on like Omega or something? I saw the clip and Sneeko's instinct was not to look at chat because they said he keeps looking at chat too much. His instinct was to say, your evolution looks like it's going wrong. And he starts saying Zherka shit. And it came off so sad where it's like he misses having a mentor that tells him eye-opening things. Because when you open someone's eye, you never actually do it yourself. You say something and then they start opening their heart and they learn from themselves, their inner experience. Sneeko's like, he has a hang up. He has a problem with his skin color. It's like, bro, you're either a Chad or you're not. Technically, by definition, sorry to hurt everyone's feelings, but Sneeko is a tall, symmetrical Chad. That's why he has an audience, right? Or if he was hard to look at, you think people want to listen to that shit, right? And he lost his way because he's like, I'm not Chad enough. I want to be like Nick Fuentes and have white skin and wear a suit and tie. And it's like, bro, if you could be like Nick Fuentes, you would miss being Sneeko immediately. Everyone has to be their unique self, man. Everyone, it's like people who think, if you made Nick 100% white without the Mexican part, Nick would miss it. He'd be like, man, I miss being me. That's how humans are. They get something they want, they go, I miss the old, because you want to be towards how you struck the chord before you incarnated on Earth. You struck the chord to be one. It's like Zherka without tattoos. Yeah, it's cleaner, it's beautiful, it's whatever, but it's not what we're, that's not my chocolate cake. I don't want to buy that. I don't want to listen to that. And a lot of people don't realize that they're like, well, how the fuck do I get so much love in my life? It's like the uniqueness. When you follow your unique code, it's cringe in the beginning. Everyone makes fun of you and then they follow you every single time. You know how many people laughed at Alex Jones and now everyone sucks him off?